how are you?
I've been better,
Yeah,
but I've also been a lot worse.
yeah, I get that.
Do you want me to give you a rating out of 10?
Yeah, sure.
6.5.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but we're going to the pub later, so that'll probably knock it up to a good 9.
Hello and welcome back to Is It Just Us? If you're new here,
Why is it that one person always breaks and then...
I'm gonna have to redo that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You got to keep it together, you know. I'm a professional. I'm the model professional. Yeah. Do you doubt me?
A little bit. Anyway, don't.
But I literally just sat here. Well, I'm lying down, but...
You done?
Yeah.
Hello and welcome back to Is It Just Us? If you're new here, hi, I'm Emily.
I'm James.
And this is the podcast where we talk about all of these topics where quite often you might be sat there thinking, is it just me that thinks this way? And we're here to tell you, hopefully not. Except this week might be not an Is It Just Us moment, but...
Is it just English people?
Is it just English people? Yeah. Is it just pommies?
And the answer to that is probably yeah, it is just us.
Probably just us, yeah.
Because what we're going to be talking about is... How should we phrase it? Like, unexpected things about Australia? Things that you don't really think about?
I think like the title of this podcast is Things No One Tells You Before You Move to Australia.
Yeah.
So basically, this is a heads up of if you're coming to visit Australia or if you're coming to move to Australia, these are some heads ups that could have been useful for us.
And to be fair, I feel like some of them, they're like almost things that you know, but you don't like know.
Like you almost like... People have mentioned it to you before, but you don't know the extent to which...
Or you're
it is a
aware
thing.
that, like, in the back of your head, that it's a thing. But then you arrive here and you're like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
This is next level thing.
Yeah.
Isn't...
But before we get into those things, just because I'm keeping my pinky promise...
No, we can't say this now. It's completely irrelevant.
I'm keeping my pinky promise.
Well,
Okay, so I don't know yet what Simon has put into the prelude of this episode, but our week this week has been
draining.
I mean, it's been quite a busy week because we've both been working and it's been a full work week and, you know, we've been and we've gone and done stuff, but I think we're both at a stage where we are quite sort of feeling a bit
Our bodies are screaming out for the pub.
Yes, as if we couldn't be more English.
That's quite an Australian thing as well.
It is. But I mean, the whole point of this episode is about talking about people being English and...
What, English people being English?
English people being English or British people being British.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay. On a scale of 1 to 10, how are you feeling?
Like 6.5.
Okay. So again, I don't know if Simon put this whole thing, but the way I would describe I'm feeling earlier, I said I'm 5 seconds away from the mic as a measurement of distance, and I didn't mean to say it, so it's kind of like I knew what I meant, but obviously...
We're really shoehorning this thing in just so you get out of buying me a beer. Yeah. So literally, when we were in the beginning, right? We were getting ready to record this, and you said something.
Crap intro.
You said something about being 5 seconds away from the mic, and I was like, "That's definitely not a unit of distance." And then we had some brief discussion about the fact that it could be if you specified what speed you were moving at, and if you're moving at like a constant speed, like then yeah, it could be. But then that's a really involved way of doing it. And I was going to make the point about a scene in Star Wars where Han Solo goes about the Millennium Falcon. He says it made the Kepler run in like 12 parsecs. And that always bugs me because a parsec is not a unit of time. It's a unit of distance, which is actually, if anyone's seen the Family Guy version of Star Wars, the Blue Harvest episode, they point that out as well. And it bugs me constantly. And I once had an argument with my stepbrother because he said, well, it could be a unit of time. And I can't remember how he argued it. But he argued it pretty well, but I still thought he was wrong. But it just bugs me that it's in this film and it's inaccurate. And it bugs me.
I'm really sorry. I mean, I do like Star Wars and everything, but I have no idea what you're talking about.
So a parsec
Yeah.
is a unit of distance.
I didn't know that.
They used it in such a way as to suggest it was a unit of time.
Right.
And it bugs me every time I see that scene.
Okay. Welcome.
It's the same scene as Han shot first, because he did. Do you know this debate?
No, I have no. Again, I have absolutely no idea what we're talking about anymore. My brain's not connected today.
So you know when Han shoots the what's his name, Greedo, the bounty hunter in Mos Eisley Cantina.
Vaguely.
So like it's a thing that Han shoots first because he's a badass.
Yeah.
But then there was some edit of it for a re-release where they changed it and they had Greedo shoot him first and miss, and Han shoots him second. And people were annoyed. One, because they thought, well, Greedo's not going to miss because he's a bounty hunter.
Yeah.
So it makes no sense that Han shot second. And also, it's like, no, like, don't make it a bad thing that Han shot first. Like, that's what he's about. He's a rugged, you know.
You've lost Emily. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, these are things I feel quite passionately about.
I know. But, I mean, another way to sort of, like, shoehorn our week into one day. Like, I've had a bit of a meltdown about my computer today. If anyone else is a Mac user and they've done the recent update, I think it's like 10.15 or something. I don't know about you, but it's messed up my laptop, and I kind of had a little bit of a meltdown earlier.
Well, because most of your files have disappeared.
Yeah, I mean, they seem to be on my laptop, but I don't know where.
Yeah.
Like, my whole filing system has just disappeared.
They're hiding.
They are. And then we found out that, you know, we tried to set up to, like, record this episode earlier, and the platform we use is now no longer compatible for 10.15. So...
So this might sound sounds like it's worse quality or something.
I have no idea.
If we sound like
no idea what this sounds like.
If we sound like two potatoes having a conversation, which to be fair is actually quite accurate today because we feel like two potatoes having a conversation, or at least a potato and an egg. I'm not sure who's who.
Potato and an egg.
Yeah, but one of us could be a potato and the other one's an egg.
I feel like I'm delirious.
You're normally the egg.
Why?
But you quite often say you feel like an egg.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't want to share that.
Oh, okay. You're not an egg. You're just a potato. Good?
No.
No? This is what they...
No, you're digging. And
I was going to say, this is what they call digging.
You were digging. But yeah, I mean, shall we get into the episode?
Well, yeah, now you've managed to talk yourself out of having to buy me a beer. I bet you want to just get on with it now. The entire Star Wars thing was just so you can get out of buying me a beer.
Fine, I'll buy you a beer.
Deal. Let's get on with the episode.
You're the one who's been paid though, but...
Yeah, true.
Anyway, gosh, I hope Simon cut a lot of that out because, man, I don't know how coherent any of that is.
Very, very incoherent.
Oh, goodness gracious me. We need help. And by help, I need the pub.
Yes.
Anyway, so we're now 15 minutes into recording this episode, and
16.
we haven't even got to the point of this episode. So let's get into this. So this week we wanted to talk about the things no one tells you before you come to Australia. And like James said, I think there's a lot of things you kind of vaguely know.
The stereotypes.
Some
of which are true.
Yeah, very true. I mean, it's probably the same for us. I mean, I think I've proven a lot of stereotypes at work.
Yep.
Like, yeah, they're all these stereotypes, all the things you've heard, and you're like, oh, yeah, you kind of know, but you don't know until you get here.
Experience it.
Yeah, like, I think a really obvious one to start with is the sheer size of Australia. Now, everyone knows it's a bloomin' big country.
It is a, country that is a continent.
Yeah. Pretty much, because, I mean, I saw a map the other day of Australia and it overlaid all of the countries that fit into Australia, and it's the entirety of Europe and then some.
I mean, Victoria is the size of the UK or something, isn't it? Or at least England.
I have no idea.
I think so. I think it's that kind of comparable.
Victoria is one of the smaller states.
Yeah, Victoria's tiny compared to the others.
Yeah, Victoria's I think Victoria's the smallest, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
By quite a long way.
So that puts it into perspective. I mean, when you fly to Melbourne or Sydney, when you hit WA, so when you hit Perth and you're flying, you probably still have a 3.5 or 4 hour flight left. That is the size.
And doing the job I do, we drive out of Melbourne into nearby areas, some of which still counts as being Melbourne, some of it's just different cities and stuff.
Yeah.
And you can drive for an hour, and if you did that in the UK, you drove for an hour. In most places, you'd drive past a couple of places.
Yeah.
Whereas if you drive for an hour here, it's just like
Nothing.
this is really like obviously Victoria's much more densely packed in than some of the other places.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
it's still,
WA has literally like
or
one
even in the
city,
outback, you drive for like days and see nothing.
Yeah.
But it's just really bizarre because we're so used to you go for a drive and you see a lot.
Yeah.
And you drive past a couple of cities and stuff, and yeah, you could drive from one end of the country to the other in the UK, and it'll only take you 6 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas if you drove for 6 hours here, you wouldn't even get out of Victoria.
Blimey, yeah, that's a weird thought. I mean, it's a 13-hour drive to Sydney from Melbourne.
Which says it all.
That says it all. And Sydney and Melbourne are supposed to be fairly close.
They are. If you look at a map of Australia, it looks like they're next to each other.
Yeah.
And then you zoom in and it's like, oh yeah, 13-hour drive.
13-hour drive. But mind you, that kind of actually brings us nicely into one of the other things that I don't think either of us really realised about, say, Melbourne. How do you say it? Melbournians? Melburnians and Sydney people. I don't know what the equivalent is for Sydney people. Sydneydians. But there's a big rivalry. And like obviously we all kind of vaguely knew that, but it's a thing.
It's quite funny. Like at work, people will just go on about how much they hate Sydney. Oh, just don't even go to Sydney. They say like, don't even bother. It's a waste of time. It's awful. It's rubbish.
I mean, obviously we're going to go to Sydney.
Yeah, because you can't come to Australia and not go to Sydney.
and not go to Sydney, but
we're relegating it to like a weekend.
yeah, a lot of people have said to us, it's great for a weekend. You can do everything you want to do in a weekend, maybe like a long weekend, so make like 3 nights, 4 days, whatever. But a lot of people have said you don't need much more than that.
Common objections to Sydney and Melbourne are that it's expensive.
Yep.
Which sounds a bit rich coming from Melbourne, but it's true because Sydney's like another level.
Yeah, Sydney's crazy expensive.
They don't like the people because they say they're just not as nice.
Yeah.
They say it's boring, especially with the lockout laws.
Oh yeah, that's something I didn't know, and a lot of people actually. I don't think many Brits know this. There are lockout laws in Sydney and New South Wales.
Was it lock in, lock out? Not sure which.
I don't know, but it's only in New South Wales. Like Victoria and New South Wales have different laws. So in Sydney, there are laws where you cannot have shots of alcohol, I believe, and then there is a curfew or a lockout or whatever it's called.
It's like you can't get into places after a certain time,
I think
and
it's
that time
midnight,
is quite early.
It's like midnight or 1 o'clock, and apparently it's just killed the nightlife in Sydney.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't necessarily like going out that much,
No,
but
neither.
there have been multiple nights where I have entered places after midnight, and the fact that that's not legal in Sydney is absolutely crazy.
Isn't it just like it's
Because like there's some like that could really kill a vibe.
Yeah, I mean definitely. It's just such a weird imagine like the university culture.
Yeah,
That must be so weird.
I guess everyone just starts drinking early.
I mean
Also,
I'm okay with that.
you can't drink on the streets here.
No, you can't.
Like what?
Yeah.
That's really crazy. Like,
Yeah,
'cause I was
it's
having
laws
beers in the
against
van on the way back from work. I wasn't driving. On Friday, and I was like, stepping out the car, and I was like, I'm glad I finished these because it was actually illegal to drink on the street. And
Jaywalking is also illegal.
yeah, that one's like less enforced. But so one of the guys I worked with went to the AFL final.
Oh really?
Yeah, and he was saying that like all the Richmond fans were just like outside in the streets in Richmond after it, and like the streets were rammed and everyone was drinking, and the police were just walking around finding people on the spot
That's crazy.
because the police are going to make so much money out of it. So it's like $80.
Seriously?
Yeah, so they'd be walking around. Anyone with still drinking would just like find them. And he was saying he was drinking, and like a police officer said, "You're gonna pull that out, or I'm gonna have to fine you." And he tried to down it, and the police officer was like, "Look, I'm gonna fine you if you do that." So he had to pour it on the floor. Had to just get rid of it.
Oh,
And he was lucky because
that's painful.
Yep.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Mind you, I'm actually impressed with how well these are all like slotting in together. Another weird one we've learnt is beer sizes.
This is quick fire differences. But yeah, the beer sizes really threw me because you get into a pub and you're just like, what are these strange words? What do they mean?
Obviously you'd think, oh, there's half pint and pint. No, you're wrong.
You don't really get half pints here. It's I think the small ones is a pot.
But what's a pot? Like,
So a pot is like a half pint.
But is it the same
And
measurement?
then you get a schooner or a schooner. I think it's a schooner though.
I think they say it's a schooner, but in my head
Yeah.
it should be a schooner.
Yeah, I think it's a schooner though. Which is not a pint, but it's bigger than a half
I'm
pint.
going to Google how
No,
big
I think it
is.
depends a bit I honestly think it depends.
Okay, a schooner is 425 milliliters. Or
I-
3/4 of a pint.
I feel like the one I had on Friday was less than that.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's not good.
Because I drank it quite quickly and was just like, oh, is that it? Whereas a pint, I normally, you
It's
can...
pronounced a schooner. There
Is
you
it?
go.
Okay, there we go.
It's just, I don't understand why they're a thing. Wait, how big's a pot?
Well, it's so that you don't... I don't know. Because people don't really drink pints.
Why?
I don't know. It's just less of a thing.
Oh, a pot of beer is 285 milliliters.
Okay.
And then a schooner is 450. A pint is 570. And then you get a jug,
Yeah, which is what...
which is a litre, like 1.14 litres.
Interesting.
Those are weird measurements.
Yes. And also, putting beer into a jug does go against everything I believe in.
That's so weird.
Like, I think it looks so bizarre when you see people with a jug of beer. I think, like, no, just put it in a pint glass like you're meant to.
Just get a pint.
Like, I'm normally not even much of a believer in the half pint. I find it slightly annoying in, like, nice, fancy beer places. Some of the beer's really strong or it's just so expensive. And they'll have, like, 1/3 of a pint or 2/3 of a pint. I just think, no, that's throwing me off completely. Give me a pint or a half pint, then I know where I'm at.
It's just like, I don't. Why aren't they? Why isn't it?
This has become a
universal
very
thing?
massive old man rant from me now, moaning about beer sizes.
weird.
This modern world, I just can't keep up with it.
But then with alcohol in general, though, I mean, again, everyone always says to you Australia is expensive, which is kind of true. Certain things are kind of equivalent.
I think we moan about the alcohol being expensive every week on this podcast.
But yeah, that's one thing that people don't always give you a heads up on is even by Australian standards, alcohol is expensive.
So I've been selling everyone back in the UK will just, as soon as I say this word, their minds will be filled with fond memories. And that word is, of course, spoons.
Yeah.
And I tell my Australian colleagues about the beautiful place that is Wetherspoons.
Yeah, same.
And I'm like, you can get drunk for less than 20 quid quite easily.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, that is ridiculous.
Yeah, like one of the girls, I went out for dinner with some friends on Friday and they were telling me about this bar, which is like, oh my gosh, it's amazing. It's like almost like an SU university bar vibe and it's super cheap and you can get a jug or like, like a pitcher of alcohol for $20. And in my head, I'm like, oh,
2 pitchers for
girls.
12 at Spoons.
I turned around to them, I said, oh girls, you have no idea. Back in the UK, you go to Spoons, and on certain nights you get 2 pitchers for £12, and that's 12 drinks.
But the great thing
for
is,
£12.
it doesn't put the Aussies off drinking. They still drink loads.
They do.
It just, the government gets a lot of money in taxes, I think.
Yeah.
Whereas it's actually an issue in the UK that when the taxes go up, people stop drinking in pubs.
Yeah, it's so weird. Like we're suddenly like
We're really, our cheap alcohol prices are like ingrained in our culture.
Yeah.
And like if pubs will literally like lose business if the prices go up too much.
Yeah.
It's so easy for pubs to overprice themselves.
Yeah, because I mean, like there was a stage when so many pubs were closing down because
There still are. There's so many pubs closed every week.
it's crazy.
And it's because there's just this weird demand for ridiculously low prices.
Yeah, but another weird thing because I've got a list of things here just to remind myself of like what are the ones like we've actually realised are a thing. As two Brits, another thing that's kind of ingrained into our culture is we like tea.
I really like tea.
You especially, like I mean, I like tea, but
I will
mean,
have like 4 or 5 cups of tea a day.
You love tea. You love the stuff. But in Australia, I mean, obviously you can buy tea and tea is around. But I remember an Aussie saying to me, forget tea. Tea to us is a letter in the alphabet. We drink coffee or beer. And it's kind of true.
That is kind of true. Although, again, one of the people I worked with once got told to try Yorkshire tea.
Yorkshire tea.
And he said there's no going back now.
No, because Yorkshire
Game
tea
changer.
is great. But at the moment, we've got solid black tea from Aldi and it's just
They
not
sell Yorkshire in
Coles.
Coles.
Yeah.
So at some
Coles
point,
is like the Waitrose.
now I've been paid, I might splash out on some Yorkshire tea.
I think so. I think you deserve it.
I think I deserve it. Maybe I'll buy both because I drink so much tea it could get really expensive. But
Yeah, but I think, we don't actually spend that much on our food each week. I think you deserve to have your tea.
thank you. And drink it.
Yeah, have your tea and drink it. So another one that I've got here is the Aussie slang, the lack of regional accents, and the fact that they swear a lot.
So all this comes down to the way they talk.
Yeah.
Every other word
It's
is
a
a swear word.
Yeah. Especially if they're comfortable with you. The C word in particular will be used willy-nilly.
Liberally.
Like, most conversations I've had with an Aussie, there's been a C word somewhere.
Yes.
Or 5.
Yeah, they throw that around a lot, which is quite... You can't really do that in the UK unless you know the people you're talking to are okay with it.
And even then, like, most Brits, like, I would never say it.
Yeah.
And
It's incredibly taboo in the UK, and
pick the microphone.
and here it's just...
It's just part, like, people just say it all, like, so
Yeah.
I'm actually numb to it now. In the office, people say it so much, I'm just numb to it.
Yeah, it's very strange.
And then I feel like I'm going to go back to the UK and then someone's going to say it. I'm like, I should be really, really offended, but no, I'm just numb.
Yeah.
But then, yeah, it's just weird because I will never say it. It doesn't matter how many times someone around me here says it, I will never say it because it's so ingrained in me. Do not say it. It's just don't do it.
Doesn't come naturally.
No, I mean, I don't like swearing at the best of times, but I mean, I'm in a country where they swear a lot.
Yeah, I'm not sure whether... it's not just people we work with, it is just a cultural thing.
It is just a cultural thing.
I mean, people swear a lot in the UK as well, but, like, this is next level.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Brits swearing, okay, fine, whatever. But there's certain swear words I feel like general Brits won't say. Or, like, is a bit, you know...
It's only the one, really, but...
Only the one, but, you know, like, in general, there's certain words, like, say, that I'm not going to say it because I don't want to, like, have to beat them all out in this episode. But say, the girl dogs, right?
The girl dogs.
Because I'm not going to say it.
It's not even that bad.
No, but obviously I don't want to have to beep it out because, like, what's the point of beeping it out because they're not going to hear it? So I'm just going to say girl dogs, right?
It's a family-friendly podcast.
Yes, family-friendly podcast.
You can actually play... If you're... if anyone's listening to this whilst pregnant, if you put the headphones, you know, it's like classical music, this podcast, to your baby. It's going to make him so clever.
Sure. Sure. Anyway, my point is, back in the UK, that is seen as a swear word.
Yeah.
If it's used in the actual conversational tone, you know, of, like, you're not referring to a dog. It's seen as a swear word, right? Here, it's not classified as a swear word. People just say it.
I've not really heard it.
Have you not?
No.
People, I was talking to people in the office and said it's not a swear word here. People just say it.
Interesting.
It's weird. It's just something to, like, as a heads up to anyone coming, because I know a lot of our friends are now booking flights and our parents are coming out. Just a heads up. They swear a lot. And the thing to remember is, especially with the C word here, they don't mean it as a bad thing. Like, they will say it to you.
It's just part of their language.
And they actually mean it in a positive way.
Yeah, it's just
It's a very weird thing to get your head
friendly term.
Yeah, it's a very weird thing to get your head around. I'm still getting my head around it, and we've been here like a month and a half.
Yeah.
And then the one below that is, like, the fact that there is no regional accent.
Yeah, Australians are just
Australians.
There's bogans.
What's bogan?
So I can't remember what quite classifies as making someone a bogan. But it's like, I find like a definition because it's kind of like it's not an accent, it's more like a way that someone talks. And it's like it's not even quite a class term. It's just...
I don't think I've heard it.
Have you not? So it's slang for a person whose speech, clothing, attitude and behaviour are considered unrefined or unsophisticated. So I guess a bogan is like the British equivalent of chav. And
okay.
like, I think it's kind of... I'm not sure. Like, I'm not sure what quite classifies as being bogan because I hear the word thrown around a bit, but I'm not quite sure what I would attach it to.
Yeah, I have no idea.
But I guess that's because we haven't really been here long enough to.
I know. I mean,
work it
to be
out.
honest, like, another one of my points is the slang, and I'm still getting my head around.
Yeah,
what
so
slang.
bogan again. Yeah, so that's a slang term, but
The slang here. I mean, it's almost like, obviously, like, generally slang is like a different language, but depending on the Aussie, they will just talk in slang, and then you're sat there thinking, I have no clue what you've just said.
yeah, like I was talking to one of the guys at work when I went and played social soccer, which it's football, not soccer, but anyway.
That's by the by.
And he said, I can't remember how he put it. It was something like, did you hit some snags? No, it wasn't hit some snags.
What?
Like, it was something, some snags. And I was like, what? And he just said it again, and I was like, mate, you're going to have to explain that one to me. He meant, did I score any goals?
Oh, that's so weird.
But one of the other guys who was Australian didn't know what he meant either, so I'm not sure about that one.
I feel like slang is a very weird one here because there's some slang which is like general Aussie slang. Like, say, you get thongs, which are your flip-flops, but obviously they would never call them flip-flops. You then get like, give someone a pash, which is a kiss, and stuff like that, which is like general Aussie terms. But then someone at work was like, oh, they use the word spotty dog. And I was like, what's a spotty dog? And apparently it's another slang term for, like, say, back in the UK, a lot of people say, oh, it's mint or whatever. So it's like really, really good. So a spotty dog, if someone says, oh, that's spotty dog, it's really cool.
That is also not one I've heard.
It was weird.
Wow. I hear spotty dog and I think Molly back at home.
Yeah, your dog.
My Dalmatian.
Your Dalmatian, quite literally.
Did I tell you that I saw Molly in the field?
What?
I saw a Molly dog.
Oh, yeah.
Literally identical dog. And I actually shouted out, Molly!
Did you actually?
And because it was a...
Liver spotted.
Yeah, but I was going to say because it was a guard dog, it then barked at me quite aggressively, so I ran away.
Okay. Maybe not.
Did I also say that I got chased by an Alsatian?
No?
Yeah, so I go into this person's garden because the gate was open, and I'm like working my way towards the door, and out of nowhere, this Alsatian just absolutely legs it towards me, and I'm about to die. So I like stream out of the garden running away, and I could see it was on a chain. And its chain was so bloody long. It pretty much got to the gate, and I was like, I'm so glad I managed to get away from that because it was definitely going to take my fingers off.
Blimey.
Yeah, I was not. Yeah,
Well,
that was quite scary.
Scary. I mean, that has very little to do with what I was about to say, but yeah, that's
How often does anything I say have anything to do with what you're saying? That was phrased awfully.
We're tired people. It's a Sunday afternoon. And yes, I know it's supposed to be up in a matter of hours. And yes, we are cutting this fine. But oh well. The next one actually is, again, I think people kind of half realise it, but they kind of don't, is everyone always said to us before we left, oh, you're going to Australia. It's going to be hot. And I was like, oh yeah, it's going to be really, really warm.
To be fair, we have come to a not warm place in Australia.
Yeah, but no, but that's the point. Everyone always thinks all of Australia is going to be blooming hot. And do you want to know what the forecast has been this week? We're talking, it's been 12 degrees. 12 degrees and rainy. It's currently 16 degrees. Welcome to Australia. It's not what you think.
But in a couple of months' time, we're going to be seeing like highs of 40.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what everyone always remembers.
Yeah.
But then they also forget you do get winter in Australia.
Yeah, unless you're in the north.
Oh yeah, I mean if you're up in Darwin or Cairns or something, then you're going to be stuck with 30 degrees all
That's
year
a case of don't visit in summer because you'll die.
It's like an oven, yeah. But I mean, especially like in Melbourne. Melbourne is the city where you will get all 4 seasons in a day. And
Yes.
to be honest, that's what I'm going to say to anyone visiting, especially visiting Melbourne. Don't just pack shorts and t-shirts, because frankly, I made that mistake when we moved here. I brought
We had jackets.
No, we had to go and buy coats. It was that cold.
Yeah.
We had to go buy coats and jumpers.
I was
and all of that
also-
because it was freezing.
To be fair, I couldn't have fit a coat into my luggage because I did want to, and I was like, can I really fit it in?
I was going to wear one, but then you were like, no, we won't need it.
Yeah.
And we needed it.
I actually think that the temperatures are different. I think 20 degrees here is different to 20 degrees at home.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Okay, good, because I thought you were about to call me out there for being absolutely crazy.
No, I
But
know
yeah,
exactly what
20
you mean.
degrees here, I'm still wearing a coat.
Yeah, like it's supposed to be 20 degrees on Tuesday.
And
I'm
I will
thinking,
be outside in a coat.
I'll probably be outside, maybe wearing a long sleeve top and jeans.
Whereas 20 degrees in the UK, I'm considering putting shorts on.
Yeah. Literally.
It's very different.
And I know a lot of my friends are coming out in March, to which I say to you, please bring layers. You will need them. It's not going to be warm. And I think, what did you do to my lip balm?
I don't know. I was fiddling with it.
What did you do?
I don't know. I don't know.
What the heck did you do?
I don't know. It just happened. It just happened, okay?
You got half of it in the lid.
I don't know what happened. sorry.
You wrecked it.
I didn't mean to.
I don't even understand how you did that.
You can still use it. You just need to use it a few times to smooth it back out.
Yeah, but I mean, look how messed up it is.
It's still going to do the same thing. It just doesn't look as aesthetically pleasing. I'm a fiddler. I can't record a podcast without having something to fiddle with. Today it was your lip balm, and it didn't go well.
And on that note, you'll buy me the drink later.
I accept that punishment.
Oh, I don't even understand how you did that.
I have a weird talent for breaking things. It's comes from being a younger brother. It means that anything I touch breaks. It's just a fact, because the minute you use something, it doesn't belong to you. The universe makes sure there's evidence that you've done it, and that evidence is normally breaking said item. So
I feel like Charlotte or Will's going to back that up.
yeah.
Oh, my life. Do you have anything else you want to talk about?
I got really good at hiding stuff every time I broke. I mean, if I'd known I'd broken that lip balm, you probably weren't going to see it again. It was going to get hidden
Then I'd turn
somewhere.
around to you and be like, hey, James, where did you put my lip balm?
And they'd be like, I didn't put it anywhere. You must have put it somewhere.
Because that's how every relationship should go.
All good relationships are built on lies.
Well, that's a lie.
There we go. See? Right?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
Do you have anything else you want to add in terms of this podcast?
What about Australia?
Yeah.
And Australians?
Yeah.
So the kangaroos actually outnumber humans about 2 to 1, slightly more.
Really?
Yep. So there's 20 million humans
That's a lot.
in Australia, and kangaroos there's 50 million of them.
That's a lot of kangaroo.
But you don't really see them that much, because if you're in cities, they don't really go into cities, and they're active in the evening, so you don't really see them during the day. And they do normally keep away from people for the most part, which is why like kangaroo attacks and stuff, they do only happen like all things. So they say everything in Australia can kill you.
Yeah.
Normally, the only way you're actually going to die is if you see something that can kill you, and then you go up and take a picture of it, or poke it, or do something stupid.
Oh, yeah.
That's normally the way you actually die.
Yeah.
Like, sure, there's a lot in Australia that's capable of killing you.
A lot of people have actually said to me, because, like James said, in the city you don't really see that many things. Like, touch wood, we've had no creepy crawlies in the house, and the most exotic thing we see in the city are parrots.
Which is pretty cool.
Which is pretty cool, but they're
Some of them have Mohicans. That's
yeah, it's
really
also
cool.
those in the park the other
Yeah,
day.
they are
They're
jazzy
very cool.
as.
But, I mean, it's a parrot. That's by the by. But a lot of people have actually said to me, when you see a snake in the outback or something, or you see a spider, do not run up to it.
No.
But especially with the snakes, they say, don't move. Just stand there, because if you start running away, then obviously snakes have, like, this weird sense of, like, vibration sound thing. They will actually come after you. So a lot of people have just said, stand still and wait for the thing to pass, and then slowly start backing away.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Just the general rule is do not go near
Don't go
stuff.
and aggravate the thing.
Yeah. So there's bits of the sea up north where you're not allowed to swim in the sea at certain times of the year. It's illegal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, box jellyfish.
Oh.
Yeah, because
blimey.
those
They will kill you.
will kill you, and there's no cure.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, so there's loads of things like snake bites and stuff that
Yeah.
you can get cured.
Yeah.
But it would kill you otherwise. But it's normally pretty easy to get the antidote and stuff.
Yeah.
Or you got like a day before you die.
Yeah.
But yeah, the box jellyfish thing just kills you.
Blimey.
Yeah.
And that's why you don't go in the sea, kids.
Whatever. You sound like Marlon the fish. Why are you so scared of the ocean? If I ever get lost, would you come and find me?
I mean, I'll try.
When I get lost in Sydney, when I'm stuck in a dentist's fish tank in Sydney, you have to
I'll come
make your
find
way
you.
across the
Yeah,
ocean
I'll come find you.
with your forgetful friend. Although I would also fit the bill for,
The forgetful friend.
but obviously I can't be in 2 places at once. Unless I forgot that I'd found my way home. So I got lost in Sydney, found my way home, forgot that, and then went on a quest with you to go and find me. But then you might realise that I was not lost anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'd find you. And on that note, I think this is a good place to end this
I like the way
podcast.
you gave me the opportunity to keep going there. Like you paused, like is he got anything else that's really stupid he wants to say? I was
I like to make sure you've emptied it all out and you're all good. But okay, on that note, I'm going to wrap up this week. Thank you for listening. I mean, hopefully this episode has been somewhat interesting and coherent. If not, apologies. Our brains are kind of smushed at the moment. a lot going on. We're sort of adapting back to proper work-life balance and just, getting into a groove and getting things done, really. That wasn't coherent. So, I'm going to finish
It was
this.
coherent. It was really slow.
It was very slow, but thank you for listening. As always, we would love for you to rate and review this podcast if you're listening on Apple Podcasts. We do read all the reviews and we love reading them, actually, so keep them coming.
Tell us what you like.
Tell us what you like. Tell us what you want us to talk about. All of that sort of stuff. We love hearing it, and we love the ratings because although it literally takes 2 seconds for you to do it, it makes a big difference for us. So we'd really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe if you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify or YouTube or whatever. And you can always follow us on Instagram and Twitter. You can follow this podcast at Is It Just Us Pod, and then you can follow me at that's_just_Emily.
And me at That's Justice James _98.
I'm impressed you remembered that.
Yeah.
And we will catch you guys next week. See you later.
See you later.
See you later.